Thanks for staying with us. Now, you've probably heard the term triggered, which has become a popular part of therapy slang, but there's a lot more to it than you might think.
Yes, there sure is. Here to tell us what it means to be triggered and how it happens is Psychotherapist Dr. Richard Hogan. Good morning to you, Richard.
Good morning, Richard.
I'm just reading your article from the Examiner the other day, learning how to cope with being triggered. Yeah. This is something that seems to be happening so much, and particularly we talk about this a lot on the show, is that traffic, queues for supermarkets, restaurants. Everything, we all seem to be on a knife edge at the minute.
Well, I suppose it's probably it's hard not to be triggered by how complex life is today, but those things aren't triggers, you see. I suppose I find the word trigger triggering. You know what I mean?
Well,
it's a part of a modern lexicon where a teenage girl would go into the shop and say, they don't have my chocolate bar. I find that so triggering. And I go, that's not actually triggering.
Why is it then? So if we are triggered by something, what is it when we are actually triggered?
That's general day annoyance, what we talked about there. A trigger is like an internal or external cue, right? That it's linked to a previous very traumatic experience. So it's the activation of your nervous system. It's the involuntary activation of your nervous system. That's what a trigger isn't the event itself. A trigger is your body's response to a previous experience where you felt shameful, powerless, abandoned, abused, very negative early childhood experiences that you're experiencing in a moment that's in the present.
Okay, so it's not like a chocolate. So me sitting in bad traffic feeling frustrated is not triggering.
No, unless you get out of the car, you know what I mean? Unless you...
so it goes by the previous event.
Yes, exactly.
Okay,
where you felt powerless or where you felt where the world or life was really getting on top of you. Sometimes people have overreactions to traffic, and that could be a trigger from something where they felt, really powerless in life.
So those things that we feel daily are minor inconveniences.
Minor life inconveniences.
They're not triggers, but we just seem to be coming across so many of those minor inconveniences. Could that then, when they're all totaled together, trigger something?
It could. You see, I think life is... particularly modern life, you have very little contact with human beings. You go into a shop and it's like, place the bag in the bagging area, and thank you. And it's like unexpected bag, and you're fighting with frustrations, and then you go into your car and then the traffic is heavy and all of a sudden your nervous system is getting hijacked, you're getting overwhelmed. But it can bring you into contact with a previous experience when you were younger where you felt completely and utterly powerless. And powerlessness is a huge part of feeling triggered.
So is this to do, because you talked in the article about the brain's incomplete survival response?
That's what it is. It's just, it doesn't mean you're too sensitive. It doesn't mean there's any character flaw in you, right? It's just an incomplete survival response. It just means that your nervous system got heightened very early on and it learned to overreact to things. It's trying to protect you from a previous pattern where you felt kind of scared, or that's all it is.
So you're feeling that it doesn't necessarily mean that it was a bad experience earlier, or does it?
It does kind of, yeah. It does, where you felt overwhelmed, or you felt kind of scared, or you felt like you didn't have the power. Powerlessness, it's a really, really negative experience for a child.
So why are you being triggered now? Why will that help you now if you're being triggered? How does that help you?
It's basically the way I look at it, right? There's a guy up here in the dark in your brain, right? An absolute darkness when you're all the time. And they're trying to figure out what the hell's going on here because the amount of information coming in is just incredible. And so when you're a kid and something came into that guy up there and, oh my God, this is dangerous, this is particularly like life-threatening, or they became heightened. And so when you're an adult now, and so a sense of smell, when I smell cut grass, I often think about Hillsborough disaster. I was like 9 going to the shop and someone cut the grass and that smell has stayed in my head from that particular thing. Wow. And so your brain kind of goes, there's a pattern of something really not right there. So try to process. So it's not a bad thing. Yeah. It's trying to teach you how to process, integrate it into your system so that it's like you're calming down the fire alarm.
Something that triggers me,
go on,
is at the start of programmes now. They have trigger warnings. That there might be
warnings.
It does, yeah.
There might be smoking. There might be
language.
And listen, obviously there are some events in TV programmes and movies that could genuinely really trigger people.
Of course.
Do you think it's important to have these warnings there nowadays?
Well, I think particularly with sexual violence or something like that. So if if someone had experienced something very heinous in their childhood and they're just expecting to watch a Harry Potter or whatever, and there is something that reflects something that I think it is decent enough to give them that a warning about that particularly.
If we have people who are watching in this morning and they are being triggered by stuff and it is a trigger, it's not just like an inconvenience,
absolutely,
modern day inconvenience. What can we do then?
First thing I'd say to someone is, like, you know, you're not too sensitive. This is how people get positioned. Oh, that's just Alan. He's so sensitive. He's so dramatic. And it's like, it's not that at all. It's just an incomplete survival response. And so it's trying to teach you something. So it's not a bad thing. It's trying to figure out, how did your system get so wired? What is it? What are you actually reacting to? Because what I'm saying is, it's not the present. It's not the guy beeping it's not the guy slow in the traffic. It's not the person giving you a bad meal when you overreact. It's a feeling of whatever it is. Figure out what the feeling is, really. What's behind how you're reacting now? And then start to integrate that into your system. You're trying to calm the voice up here that's heightened down. You're just trying to talk to that voice and calm it down. All's okay. You can't stop that thing, but you can stop the intensity and how protracted it is.
What is it with nowadays that there seems to be a huge impatience in everybody's lives? People are in a rush. People are frustrated. It definitely seems to be more heightened than ever at the moment.
Oh, Tommy, it's such an important point, because I have a charity in the Philippines and I go out there all the time, and members of the tribe that I work with come to Ireland with me sometimes, and they'd say to me, my God, the world you live in, it's so fast.
See, they are in a much slower pace.
Our world is so fast, and we expect, and this is what I'd always say to people, where did you get the unrealistic expectation you won't be inconvenienced? The food won't come out slowly. The food won't be, you know, you get stuck. Yeah. We have this desire to just go through something really quickly. And we have to find kind of joy in the moments where things don't work out. It's a really important thing to develop into your system.
To not be a little bit less impatient.
Exactly, and expect things not to work out.
Well, it's very interesting. You're also doing a night in the Lark Theatre in Balbriggan on the 30th of April, and tickets are available for the Lark. And this is about parenting and screen age. This is screen time for teenagers, which I know a lot of parents will be going, OK, we need to sort this out. So you're going to be doing that. It's in the Lark Theatre in Balbriggan on the 30th of April.
Parenting the screenager. I think we all need that at the moment. It's an important topic, though.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And look, and us as parents, we need to thrive as well. That's what I'm trying to get, that positive message.
Richard Hogan, as ever, thank you
very
so much for joining us this morning. Make sure to check that out on thelark.ie. Also, get in touch with you. What are the little things that bug you at this time of the morning? If you're heading to work this morning, what time are you having to hit the road at, and how much annoys you? 0896 111 111. Still to come this morning, award-winning author Carmel Harrington is here to chat about her gripping new mystery novel.
And lots more. We'll see in a few minutes.